thank you for checking out this video on exact and ordinary interest. Make sure you grab a pen and paper and also calculator before you start the video. This is Mommy J and welcome to my YouTube channel. Okay, so this slide is part of the series of lecture slides on simple interest. Now, this time we will be discussing ordinary and exact interest. So, these are example problems wherein simple interest utilizes days as the unit of time. Okay, now, there are two kinds of interest if the given time is in days. So that is ordinary or exact interest. So as you can see in this slide, ordinary interest uses 360 days as a total number of days in a year, while exact interest uses 365 days as a total number of days in a year. So we need to look at the problem, whether the problem asks for ordinary or exact interest. Okay, so let's recall that the formula for simple interest is I equals PRT, where I is the interest earned, P is the principal or the initial amount. R is the rate of interest in percent. We usually change it to decimal form. And then time usually is in years. So in this case, the time given is in days. So we need to convert it into its corresponding year or years. Okay? So, in this number one example, calculate the ordinary and exact interest. So, we will be calculating two interests here, the ordinary and the exact. So, let us first calculate the ordinary interest. Let us assign I sub O for that variable, ordinary interest, of a loan worth 6,000 pesos. So, the 6,000 pesos there is the principal. 7% is interest, is the rate of interest. We will convert that to its decimal equivalent. So, that's 0.07. Now, the time is 120 days. So, whenever we are asked of the ordinary interest, so our time would be divided by 360 for ordinary interest. So let's just say it's T sub O for time to be used for ordinary interest. So substituting this given, we have 6,000 pesos multiplied by 0.07 times 120 over 360. So, using our calculators, 6,000 times 0.07 times 120 over 360, we have 140 pesos. Okay? So, this is the ordinary interest after 120 days. Now, let us try to calculate this time the exact interest. Let us assign I sub E for exact interest. Now, the same given, 6,000 pesos is the principal. And then the rate of interest is 0.07. And then the time, 120. Since this is exact interest, we will divide it by 365. So, 6,000 times 0.07 times 120 over 365. That is 138 0.08. So that's in pesos. Exact interest. So we can see here that you have to round off your final answers to nearest hundredths. Okay, or to decimal places. Okay. Okay, so next example, again we will be solving for the ordinary and exact interest. We just have a different set of given. Okay, so in this case, we have principal, which is 15,000 pesos. The rate of interest is 8 and 5 over 8%. So that is equivalent to, we'll convert 5 over 8 into decimal. In our calculators, we can divide 5 by 8. 5 divided by 8. You can see that it's equivalent to 0.625. And then you just add 0.625 to 8. So that will give us 8.625%. And that is equivalent to 0.08625 in decimal form. And then, we will be using this whole decimal equivalent of 8 and 5 over 8%. Please do not yet round off this into its equivalent to decimal form like 4.09 or 0.086. We will be using this whole decimal in calculating the interest. Now, the time given is 90 days. So, with 90 days and ordinary interest, we have 15,000. So, I equals PRT ulit. And then, the rate is 0.08625, 90 over 360. Okay? So, calculator. So, it's very important that we have calculators on hand so that you can follow through the example. Alright, so we have here 323.44. Nakalagay sa instruction to nearest hundredths. Okay? Nearest hundredths. Nakalagay kasi sa calculator natin 323.4375. So, ito na yung final answer natin for ordinary interest. Now, exact interest will just have a different divisor for 90. So, that's still 15,000 times 0.08625 multiplied by 90 over 365. So, that will give us 319 pesos 0.01. Yan. Ang kasunod kasi nakalagay sa decimal 0.068,493. So, with nearest hundredths, so ang ating final answer would have 0.01 on its decimal place. Ayan. You can actually pause, then play this video so that you can answer first on your own and then check whether your answer is correct. Okay? Alright, number 3. In this number 3, you are asked how many days. Now, we will not be computing here just like what we did in 1 and 2. So, let us see. How many days? So, you are asked of the time in days. Will it take 10,000 pesos to earn an interest of 1,200 pesos at 15% ordinary interest rate. Okay? So, let us highlight that this is an ordinary interest problem, right? Because we need to identify what to use, whether 360 or 365. Okay, so principal given is 10,000 pesos. 10,000 pesos. And then interest. Now, since that's ordinary interest problem, let us put I sub O as ordinary interest. 1,200 pesos. And the rate of interest is 15%, which is in decimal 0.15. Okay? So, we have I equals PRT as our formula for simple ordinary interest. We have here 1,200, and that is letter I. So, that means ang hinahanap natin ngayon is hindi interest. Ano po? So, ang hinahanap natin ngayon is time. So, that is being asked. Alright, so if that is being asked of here, we have before on one of our previous slides in simple interest, time is equal to I divided by PR. Alright? So, we can actually write I over PR. So, this is the I, this is the P, and then this is R. Okay. However, our time here is actually over 360. So, that means the time in days is over 360. Again, why 360? Because ordinary interest. Okay? And then substituting the I, which is 1,200, and then 10,000 in the denominator, and also the rate of interest. So, we have this working equation. Now, what will happen to this 360? Okay, so from our algebra class, this 360 will be multiplied to 1,200. So that would be 1,200 multiplied by 360 over 10,000 pesos and 0.15. Okay, calculators. 1,200 times 360 divided by 10,000 and 0.15. So, we have 288. This is already in days. Okay? Number 4, again, how many days? So, we are asked here of the number of days again. And then, identify natin what are the given. Principal is 25,000 pesos. Now, this time, we are given exact interest. Exact. So, that would be related to a time which is divided by 365. So, the exact interest is 2,000 pesos. Okay? And the rate of interest given is 10 and 2/5%. Again, that's just like what we did on one of the previous examples here. Divide 2 by 5, you'll get the decimal equivalent of that. So, that's 0.4. 0.4 is equivalent to 2 over 5, you add it to 10, so that would be 10.4%, which is equivalent to 0.104 in decimal form. Okay, so our time is being asked. Again, the time is equal to I over PR. But if it is in years. Now, since this is in days and we are given exact interest, the time should be over 365. Alright? From here, actually, you can just write, you can transpose right away 365 to I. You cross multiply it there. So that will give us 365 times I over PR. So this is our working equation equivalent to time in days. Exact interest, right? So the time is 365 times ay 2,000 pesos over principal 25,000 pesos, and then the rate we are using here is 0.104. So calculate us 365 times 2,000 pesos divided by 25,000 and 0.104, we have 280.78. Okay, 280.7, actually it's 0.7692308. Okay, now our instruction here is to round off final answers to nearest number of days. So our final answer is 281. Okay, days. Alright, so that's all for exact and ordinary interest. I hope you will also check out the next video, which is solving ordinary and exact interest using approximate time and actual time, and also about the banker's rule. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet, and click the notification bell so that you will be updated of the next videos coming soon. Thank you.